Today, we are going to take a look at some power rankings. Now, this is the way too early power ranking edition. This is post-draft, all right? So you're taking into account what these draft picks may be able to bring to their teams, and then the pre-existing kind of power rating of the team. Now, the question you're all asking, and the question that we will soon find the answer to is, where's the New Orleans Saints? So, put on down in the comments below what your guess is. Where do you think the Saints are ranked? And then what do you think the Saints should be ranked? We're going to quickly go over all the teams, just kind of where I think they may be a little overrated, underrated, and then we're going to focus, certainly, for the most part, on the Saints. Now, we have Sports Illustrated, Bleacher Report, and NFL.com. Okay, here we go. Sports Illustrated, the Eagles, number one. This usually happens. Usually the Super Bowl team is always 1 or 2, which makes sense. They just won the Super Bowl, right? 2, Bills. 3, Lions. The Lions, I think, are rated way too high. So I'm kind of fading the Lions this year because of how hard it is to bounce back after losing 2 coordinators. Asked the Philadelphia Eagles that a couple of years ago. Also, Jared Goff is one of the most, he is good when he is coddled and he is in a system. Getting him out of that system is not good. Ripping Ben Johnson away, not good for Jared Goff. Kansas City Chiefs, 4. Denver Broncos, 5. Seems a little high for Denver. That is a huge jump. And their defense is going to be absolutely gnarly. I'll tell you that. Their defense is going to be sick. This is probably your best defense in the NFL. Question is, can the offense be good enough to be the 5th best team? I have my doubts. Chargers, 6. Chargers probably... Again, this seems a little high. I think for a team, when I'm looking at the Chargers and the Ravens, if the Ravens and the Chargers, if you told me they're playing in the first round of the playoffs, I'm taking the Ravens every time because I like to back teams that have proven it. It's hard for me to be like, oh yeah, the Chargers or the Broncos. They'll just take this huge jump. If you're the 5th or 6th best team, you're like a conference championship level team. That seems like a lot to me. Ravens 7, Green Bay 8, Washington 9. Surprisingly, they have Washington dropping with how good Jaden Daniels was last year. Dallas at 10. Okay. Minnesota 11. Seattle 12. I think Seattle could be a sneaky good team this year if they can get anything out of the boy Sam Darnold. Cincinnati 13. Los Angeles 14. San Francisco 15. Interesting year at San Francisco. If you told me they were the best team in the NFL, I'd believe you. If you told me they were the worst team, I'd believe you. But it all hinges on what they do with Brock Purdy. Tampa Bay 16 seems a little low. Chicago 17 seems fair. Seems a little bit on the low side, but fair. A lot of that depends on Caleb Williams. How good is Caleb Williams? 18 Raiders. Houston 19. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised about that. New England 20. 21 Pittsburgh. New York 22. Let's see here. Little movement for the Steelers because there's still no certainty of the quarterback position. It's absolutely not safe to assume Aaron Rodgers is coming because he isn't there and said on television 2 weeks ago that retirement is an option. If Aaron Rodgers isn't there, there is no way they should be 21. New York Jets 22, Arizona 23, Atlanta 24. Low for Atlanta. Indy 25. I'll give you this right now. I think Daniel Jones is going to win this starting job, and I think Daniel Jones, comeback player of the year, is worth a bet. Jaguars 26. I think the Jaguars made a mess of the draft. I think the trade made no sense. You could arguably have sat back at 5 and taken Tet McMillan and got a arguably better wide receiver without having to give up everything they gave up. Giants 27. 27 seems low. 27 seems low for the Giants. 28 Dolphins. Dolphins are in a weird pseudo-rebuild, what are they exactly doing? Carolina 29, 30 Cleveland, 31 the Saints, and 32 the Tennessee Titans. All right, what's happening in the quarterback position? We don't know, but enough is happening that a team strapped for need has taken a quarterback in the second round and Tyler Shough. If Shough has to start meaningful games this season, no matter how high his ceiling is, it's indicative of the rocky road ahead for Kellen Moore. Real quick, Bleacher Report, New Orleans Saints, 32. Let's just put this out there. The New Orleans Saints are a mess. Veteran quarterback Derek Carr not only has a shoulder injury, blah, blah, blah. salary cap situation in the Big Easy is 37, kinds of jacked up. Tyler Shough, Carr's ostensible replacement, will be pushing 30 by the time his rookie deal is over. This part, like the salary cap part, has nothing to do with it. And Shough being 30 by the time his rookie deal is over is kind of irrelevant too. So kind of weird there. And then NFL.com has the Saints at 31. So we have 31, 31, 32. NFL.com, we really must be prepared for Tyler Shough to be a realistic option to start the Saints opener, or at least man the quarterback position for a decent chunk of the season. Blah, blah, blah. Shough battled through a slew of injuries. The Saints took some other draft stabs on talent and see what sticks approach. And I can't say I hate it overall, but I also am not going to spend most of my offseason shouting indiscriminately at strangers about New Orleans' hidden upside for 2025. All right, so I think this is a little low, and here's why I say that. I don't think the Saints are necessarily good, but you can see the floor of last year. The Saints are one of those teams where they're not bringing in a bunch of new players, like a lot of flashy signings, but the fact that they have a healthy offensive line, Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, the fact that they have just health. Now, you never know how long it'll last. You don't know how that's going to work. But the fact that they are healthy, just that alone, is a crazy step up from where they were last year. All right, so like the baseline team from last year was horrible. I mean, Dante Pettis, Mason Tipton, Bub Means, Connor McGovern, like we know the group. All right, that baseline team, really bad. Before we factor in anything else, players taking a step forward, development, Kellen Moore, blah, blah, blah. Just the roster, huge step up. Okay, now you go coaching. Dennis Allen, what else needs to be said? He gets canned. Darren Rizzi. There's no DC. There's, Clint Kubiak's first year OC. Like, it's just a complete upheaval, complete mess. Now we've got Kellen Moore running the show, calling the offense. We got Brandon Staley, former NFL head coach, calling the defense. Coaching staff is a huge upgrade as well. So, baseline, if nothing else, we are starting from a better place than where we finished last year. All right? So, if we're a 5-win team last year, I think you have to factor in two wins just on the situation. All right, so I think that at least makes us a 7-win team. Now, the elephant in the room, the big question mark, is quarterback. If you told me that Derek Carr was not pissed off at the entire city of New Orleans, that the fans were not about to riot in the streets if Derek Carr played another snap, if you told me that Derek Carr was just playing this year, I would sit here and I would tell you the Saints are a 9-win team. I'd sit here and tell you, look, this team, Derek Carr healthy, Alvin Kamara healthy, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, the offensive line, the defense, Kellen Moore, boom, 9-win team. I cannot do that with whatever combination of Tyler Shough and Spencer Rattler. All right? It is too much of an unknown with too important of a position. Now, I will say, I think Tyler Shough and Spencer Rattler both have tremendous opportunity to succeed because of what I just said with the players around them. Offensive line is going to be a strength of this team. The offensive line is going to be legit. If Kelvin Banks can just be Talise Fuaga and everyone stays healthy, I hate saying that because you cannot factor in injuries. Like, you never know when they're going to happen. Someone who's never been hurt before in their life can blow out his ACL and all of a sudden your season's over, right? Like, it's too difficult to say, oh, well, this guy's injury prone, so he'll definitely have an injury. Or, oh, this guy's never had one, so he definitely won't have one. So I'm kind of throwing injuries out. If they happen, they happen, but it's just way too random. It's way too random to try and make that part of my handicap. So just the team around these, whichever quarterback it is, whether it's Shough or Rattler, the team is pretty strong for a rookie quarterback / first-year quarterback to be kind of entering into. I mean, I can't even imagine what Rattler would look like. Him last year with that island of misfit toys he had, And then this year, having Kelvin Banks, Talise Fuaga, Eric McCoy, Cesar Ruiz, Alvin Kamara behind him, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, like legit stuff going on. Oh, and Kellen Moore is the head coach. He's calling plays, and Brandon Staley is running the defense. That is impressive. I do not think the Saints should be 32nd or 31st. I think it's really easy to look at this team as a 5-win team, and then you look at Tyler Shough or Spencer Rattler, and it's like, yeah, brother, you get a 5-win team, and then you're rocking and rolling with a rookie quarterback or Spencer Rattler who hasn't won a game in his career. Like, I can see why people would put them at 32 or 31. But like I said, I think you have to start. Baseline has to be closer to here. Baseline has to be somewhere in this territory, the 27, 28 kind of range. Now, if you told me Carr was playing, that's when we probably shoot up to this area, like 22, 23, 24, somewhere in there. Somewhere in here, like, yeah, somewhere between 21 and 25, I think, with Carr. And then, you know, if you get better than that, then you're feeling good. But I think this is a bit much down here. Like, I think the fact that they're like, yeah, they're the worst team in the NFL. We weren't the worst team in the NFL last year when we had literal practice squad players. I mean, and I know a lot of people are going to be doom and gloom in the comments, but you have to just, like, really think about it. Really think about the wide receivers last year. And now think about just the healthy wide receiver group. Think about Jordan Mims or Kendra Miller or CEH or whoever was starting at running back. Now think about Alvin Kamara. Think about no DC, complete defensive upheaval, Darren Rizzi doing his best. Now think about Kellen Moore and Brandon Staley. Right? Think about the offensive line. Think about who we had out there. Think about just grabbing people out of the stands, just people selling cotton candy at pecans, and all of a sudden they're playing right tackle or they're playing right guard. Think about that, and now think about what we're looking at with Fuaga Penning at guard, McCoy at center, Ruiz at right guard, Banks at right tackle. You know, like, look at our linebackers. Demario, Pete, Stutzman, all right? Safeties, you got Tyrann, Justin Reed. Like, just the people, just the actual names, you can see that that's better than last year. So if we weren't the worst team in the NFL last year, why would we be the worst team in the NFL this year, is my argument. I think the Saints are, again, I really need to know who the quarterback is. But if we get average quarterback play, average to below average, I think we're a 7-win team. Now, if we get really good quarterback play, whether it's from Derek Carr, Tyler Shough, or Spencer Rattler, I think that's when you could be a 9-win team. But this division's up for grabs. You got the Bucs, who are legit. The Bucs are a good team. And the Bucs have proven they are the best team in the division. Like, we're not, where the hell, they're the Bucs 7th? Damn. Like, the Bucs should be the runaway favorites for this division. But it's up to Atlanta, Carolina, or the Saints, because they're all kind of the same. A lot of question marks. I mean, it's kind of crazy to say that you have Baker Mayfield, and then the second most experienced quarterback is Bryce Young. You know, it's like, damn. Damn. You got Michael Penix, who's played like half of a season. You got Spencer Rattler, who's played half of a season. You have Tyler Shough, who, rookie. All of a sudden, Bryce Young's like, yeah, he's kind of just the seasoned vet after Baker Mayfield. So insane division. You got Todd Bowles, who is like this hard-nosed, old school coach. Then you have Canales, who's a young, innovative offensive mind, right? You've got Raheem Morris, who failed defensive coordinator, who he's trying to figure things out. And now you got Kellen Moore, 36-year-old head coach. The NFC South is absolutely insane. But I don't think 32 or 31 is appropriate. I think, like I said, 20, depending on the quarterback, somewhere between 27 and 21 sounds about right, somewhere in there. But it's always interesting to see these because, a lot of it changes. I mean, the Washington Commanders, first year with Jaden Daniels, they were in the bottom 3. The Houston Texans' first year with C.J. Stroud was their Vegas win total was 3.5. They were supposed to win 3.5 games. All right, so these don't mean a lot, but it does give you a good idea of like how you're viewed going into this. And I think this is 32-31 is a bit much for the New Orleans Saints. All right, ladies and gentlemen, where do you have them ranked? Let me know. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.